The hospital was quiet that night in Seoul. It was a cold winter evening in 1998. In the nursery, a tiny baby girl slept in a white plastic crib. She was only 3 days old. Her eyes were closed. Her small fists were curled up near her face. She had no idea that her life was about to change forever. The nurses found her alone the next morning. Her mother was gone. There was no goodbye, no last kiss. Just an empty bed in room 304 and a baby who would wake up to a world without the woman who gave birth to her. Next to the baby's crib, there was a note. It was written on plain paper with blue ink. The handwriting was shaky, like the person who wrote it had been crying. The note said only a few things. It had the baby's birth date, December 15, 1998, and it had one sentence that would echo through the years. Please give her a better life than I can. That was all. No name, no phone number, no address, no way to find the woman who had carried this baby for 9 months and then walked away. The hospital staff stood around the crib. They looked at the sleeping infant. Some of them felt angry. How could a mother leave her own child? Others felt sad. They knew that no woman makes this choice easily. Something terrible must have happened. Something must have forced her hand. They called the social workers. Within hours, a woman named Mrs. Kim arrived. She was in her 50s with kind eyes and tired shoulders. She had seen this before. Too many times. South Korea in the late 1990s was still struggling. Single mothers faced shame. Families turned their backs. Women had to choose between their babies and survival. Mrs. Kim picked up the baby gently. The infant stirred but did not cry. Her eyes opened for just a moment. They were dark and clear. Then she went back to sleep. We need to give her a name, Mrs. Kim said to the nurses. They thought for a while. Finally, someone suggested Minji. It meant bright and wise in Korean. It was a good name. A name full of hope. Maybe this little girl would grow up to be bright. Maybe she would be wise enough to understand why her mother had to let her go. Baby Minji was taken to an orphanage on the other side of the city. It was a grey building with small windows. Inside, there were rows of cribs. Babies crying. Toddlers playing. Children waiting. All of them waiting for families that might never come. The orphanage was not a bad place. The workers did their best. They fed the children. They changed diapers. They sang songs, but there were too many children, and not enough hands, not enough time, not enough love to go around. Minji grew in that place. She learned to sit up. She learned to crawl. She learned to walk by holding onto the bars of her crib. Other children around her laughed and screamed and played. But Minji was quiet. She watched everything with those dark, serious eyes. The workers noticed something about her. She loved sounds. When someone turned on the radio in the office, Minji would stop whatever she was doing. She would tilt her head and listen. Her whole body would become still. It was like she was drinking in the music. One of the workers, a young woman named Ji-yoon, would sometimes hum while she worked. Minji would follow her around. The little girl would try to hum the same tune. She was only 2 years old, but she could remember melodies after hearing them just once. This one is special, Ji-yoon would say. Listen to her. She has music inside her. But being special does not make you less lonely. At night, when the lights went out, Minji would lie in her crib. She would look at the ceiling. Sometimes she would cry, but not loud. Just quiet tears that rolled down her cheeks. Even as a small child, she seemed to understand that no one was coming. No one was going to pick her up and take her home. The orphanage kept a file on every child. Minji's file was thin. Date of birth. Date of arrival. Medical checkups. That was all. On the front of the folder, someone had written, Mother unknown. Father unknown. No family contact. These words would follow her. They were the only story she had. The only connection to where she came from, and they told her nothing except that she had been unwanted. That she had not been enough to make her mother stay. As Minji turned 3, then 4, she began to understand more. She saw other children leave. Families would come to visit. Foreign couples with cameras and nervous smiles, Korean families looking for a child to love. These families would walk through the playroom. They would look at the children. And sometimes, they would choose one. Minji watched them go. She would wave goodbye to the children she had known. Some part of her was happy for them. But another part of her wondered, why not me? What is wrong with me? She started to believe that she needed to be better, smarter, quieter, more perfect. Maybe then someone would want her. Maybe then she would be worth keeping. The woman who ran the orphanage, Mrs. Park, had a kind face, but sad eyes. She had worked there for 20 years. She had seen hundreds of children come and go. She noticed Minji more than the others. There was something about this girl. Something in the way she carried herself, like she was already carrying a weight too heavy for her small shoulders. One afternoon, Mrs. Park sat down next to Minji. The girl was 4 years old now. She was sitting alone by the window, watching the street outside. "Do you ever wonder about your mother?" Mrs. Park asked gently. Minji looked up at her. Those dark eyes were so serious, so old for such a young face. "Every day," Minji said quietly. "What do you wonder?" "I wonder if she thinks about me too. I wonder if she is sorry. I wonder what I did wrong." Mrs. Park felt her heart break a little. She pulled Minji close. "You did nothing wrong, sweet girl. Nothing at all. Sometimes, life is just hard. Sometimes, people have to make choices that hurt everyone." But Minji was not sure she believed that. Deep inside, in a place she could not name, she carried a wound. It was the wound of abandonment. The wound of not being chosen, and it would shape everything that came next. She did not know it then, but this wound would one day lead her to a piano, and that piano would lead her back to the mother who left that note. The mother who wrote those words with shaking hands. The mother who walked away but never stopped looking back. For now, Minji was just a little girl in an orphanage in Seoul. Just another child waiting. But inside her was something powerful. Something that would not stay quiet forever. It was waiting for the right moment, the right sound, the right keys to unlock everything she held inside. The story of Minji had only just begun. The day started like any other day at the orphanage. Minji woke up in her small bed. She was 4 years old now. She got dressed in the clothes that were laid out for her, blue pants and a white shirt. They were clean, but worn. Many children had worn them before her. But today was different. Mrs. Park came to her before breakfast. She was smiling in a way that made Minji nervous. "Minji, come with me. You need to wash your face and brush your hair extra well today. Some people are coming to meet you." Minji had seen this before. People came, they looked at children. Sometimes they took a child home, but no one had ever wanted to meet her before. Her heart started to beat faster. In the meeting room, 2 people were waiting. They were Americans. The man was tall, with dark hair and glasses. The woman had a warm smile and gentle eyes. They both looked nervous. Their names were David and Sarah Chen. David and Sarah had been married for 8 years. They had tried to have a baby for a long time. It never happened. After many tears and many prayers, they decided to adopt. They wanted to give a child a home, a family, a chance. When they saw Minji walk into the room, something happened in Sarah's heart. The little girl was so small, so serious. She did not smile. She did not run to them like some children did. She just stood there, watching them with careful eyes. "Hello Minji," Sarah said softly. She had practiced this in Korean. "My name is Sarah." Minji looked at her, but said nothing. They spent an hour together. David and Sarah tried to play with her. They showed her pictures of their home in America. A house with a yard. A room that could be hers. A dog named Buddy. Minji looked at everything. She did not show much emotion, but inside, something was stirring. Something that felt like hope, and hope was scary. 3 weeks later, all the papers were signed. Minji was going to America. She was going to have a new family, a new name, too. They would call her Lily. Lily Chen. The day they left Korea, Lily held a small stuffed bear. It was brown and missing one eye. It was the only thing she owned. Gyeon, The worker who used to hum songs had given it to her years ago. Lily held it tight as they walked through the airport. On the plane, Lily sat between David and Sarah. She looked out the window as Korea disappeared below the clouds. She was leaving the only country she had ever known. The only language she spoke well. Everything familiar was gone. Sarah reached over and held her hand. Lily did not pull away, but she did not squeeze back either. She was like a stone, hard, protecting herself. She had learned not to trust that good things would last. When they landed in Boston, it was spring. Everything was green and bright. The house was bigger than anywhere Lily had ever been. Her room had a bed just for her. Toys on shelves, a window with curtains that had flowers on them. It was beautiful, but it felt like a dream, and dreams end. The first weeks were hard. Lily did not speak much. She ate the food they gave her, but never asked for more. She followed the rules perfectly. She tried to be good, perfect, because maybe, if she was perfect, they would keep her. At night, she would lie in her new bed and feel strange. The house was too quiet, too big. At the orphanage, there were always sounds. Babies crying, children talking. Here, there was just silence. And in that silence, her thoughts were too loud. Sarah would come to her room and sit on the edge of the bed. She would read stories in English that Lily did not understand, but the sound of Sarah's voice was soft, kind. Slowly, very slowly, Lily began to let her guard down, just a little. David taught her English words. He was patient. He would point at things and say the word, chair, table, water, sky. Lily learned fast. She was smart, but she stayed quiet. She spoke only when she had to. 6 months passed. Lily was starting to understand more English. She was eating better. She even smiled sometimes. But Sarah and David could see that something was locked inside her. She was going through the motions of being a daughter, but her heart was still behind walls. One Saturday, Sarah had an idea. There was a community center nearby. They had activities for children, music classes, art, sports. Maybe Lily would like something there. They walked into the community center together. It was an old building with wood floors and high ceilings. There were children everywhere, running, laughing, playing. Lily held Sarah's hand tight. Too many people, too much noise. Then she saw it. In the corner of the main room, there was a piano. It was old and brown. Some of the keys were yellow with age. No one was playing it. It just sat there, quiet and waiting. Lily stopped walking. Her eyes locked on the piano. Something inside her chest felt tight, like something was waking up. "Do you want to look at it?" Sarah asked. Lily nodded. They walked over to the piano. Lily reached out one small hand. She touched the keys softly. They were cool and smooth. She pressed one key down. A sound came out. A single note, clear and pure. She pressed another key. Another note, then another. Without planning it, without thinking, Lily began to play. It was just a simple melody. Something she had heard on the old radio at the orphanage. She did not know what it was called. But her fingers remembered. The sound filled the room. People stopped talking. They turned to look. This small girl, barely 5 years old, playing with both hands. Not perfectly, but with feeling. Like the music was speaking for her. Sarah's eyes filled with tears. She looked at David. He was staring at Lily with his mouth open. When Lily finished, the room was silent for a moment. Then people started clapping. Lily looked up, surprised. She had forgotten where she was. For those 2 minutes, there had only been the music. That night at dinner, David and Sarah talked about what happened. Lily ate her food quietly, but she was listening. "Lily," David said gently, "would you like to learn to play the piano? Really, learn." Lily looked up at him. For the first time since they met her, her eyes were bright. "Alive? Yes," she said. It was the first time she had asked for anything. Sarah made phone calls the next day. She found a piano teacher named Mrs. Rodriguez. She was an older woman who had taught children for 30 years. She agreed to meet Lily. They bought a used piano and put it in the living room. It was not fancy, but it worked. When it was delivered, Lily stood in front of it for a long time, just looking, just touching the keys. That night, she played until her fingers hurt. She played the melodies she remembered. She made up new ones. The music poured out of her like water from a broken dam. Sarah stood in the doorway and watched. She finally understood. Lily had been carrying so much inside: pain, confusion, fear, questions that had no answers. She could not say these things with words. She did not know how, but she could say them with music. When Lily finally stopped playing and came to bed, she looked different. Lighter somehow, like she had put down something heavy. "Thank you," she whispered to Sarah as she climbed into bed. "For what, sweetheart?" "For the piano. For bringing me here. For not giving up on me." Sarah hugged her close. "We will never give up on you, Lily. Never. You are our daughter. You are home." Lily closed her eyes. She was not sure she believed it yet. Not completely, but for the first time in her life, she had something that was hers. Something that could not be taken away. The music was hers. It lived inside her. And no matter what happened, no one could make her give it back. She did not know it then, but this piano was going to save her life. It was going to give her a voice when she had none. It was going to carry her through the dark times that were still ahead. And one day, it was going to lead her back to the woman who left that note in a hospital room in Seoul. But tonight, she was just a little girl who had found her first true language. And in that language, she could finally start to tell her story. Mrs. Rodriguez came to the house for the first lesson on a Tuesday afternoon. She was a short woman with gray hair and strong hands. She had taught piano to hundreds of children. Most of them played for a few years and then quit. Only a few had real talent. Even fewer had the dedication to become truly great. She did not expect much from this lesson. The parents had told her about Lily, an adopted girl from Korea. Shy, quiet, had played a melody at the community center. That was nice, but many children could do that. Then Lily sat down at the piano. Mrs. Rodriguez showed her the proper way to sit, how to curve her fingers, how to read the most basic notes on the page. Lily absorbed everything like a sponge. Her eyes were focused, intense. "Now, let us try a simple exercise," Mrs. Rodriguez said. She demonstrated a basic scale. Up and down, 5 notes. Lily played it back perfectly. The first time, Mrs. Rodriguez blinked. "Good, now try this one." She made it more complex. Again, Lily played it exactly right. For the next hour, Mrs. Rodriguez kept adding difficulty. Each time, Lily met the challenge. Her fingers were small, but precise. And there was something else. Something in the way she touched the keys. She did not just play notes, she felt them. When the lesson ended, Mrs. Rodriguez sat back in her chair. She looked at Sarah and David. "How long has she been playing?" "This is her first real lesson," Sarah said. Mrs. Rodriguez shook her head slowly. "That is not possible. No child plays like that with no training." "She taught herself," David explained. "She just started playing melodies by ear a few months ago." Mrs. Rodriguez looked at Lily, who was still sitting at the piano, touching the keys gently. "This child is special," she said quietly. "Very special. If you let me teach her, if she works hard, she could be extraordinary." Lily was 7 years old when the lessons began in earnest. She practiced every day. 1 hour at first, then 2, then 3. She never complained. She never said she was tired. The piano was not work for her. It was breath. It was life. School was different. Lily was still quiet there. She had a few friends, but kept to herself, mostly. Other children did not understand her. She was different. She looked different. She acted different. Some kids were kind. Others were not. One day, a boy in her class made fun of her eyes, called her names. Lily said nothing. She just walked away. But when she got home, she went straight to the piano. Her fingers flew across the keys. The music was angry, hurt, powerful. She played for 2 hours without stopping. Sarah heard it. She understood. The piano was where Lily put everything she could not say. By the time Lily was 9, she was playing pieces that teenagers struggled with. Chopin, Bach, Mozart. Her fingers moved faster than seemed possible. But it was not just speed, it was the emotion in her playing. When she played something sad, people felt it in their bones. When she played something joyful, the room seemed to light up. Mrs. Rodriguez entered her in a local competition. Lily was the youngest person there. She wore a simple black dress that Sarah had bought for her. She walked on stage and sat at the grand piano. Her feet barely touched the pedals. The audience waited. Lily began to play. The room went silent. Even the judges leaned forward. This was not a child playing. This was an artist, a voice that spoke in notes instead of words. When she finished, there was a long pause. Then the applause started. It grew louder and louder. Lily won first place. She also won the Audience Favorite Award. People came up to her parents afterward. Where did she study before? They asked. Who was her teacher in Korea? They wondered. Sarah and David explained that Mrs. Rodriguez was her only teacher, that she had only been playing for 2 years. People did not believe them. The competitions continued. Local, then regional, then state. Lily won almost all of them. By the time she was 11, newspapers were writing about her. The piano prodigy from Boston. Adopted Korean girl finds her voice. Lily did not care about the attention. She did not like the cameras or the interviews. She just wanted to play. The piano was the only place she felt completely herself, completely safe. But something was happening inside her that no one could see. The more she won, the more pressure she felt. People expected her to be perfect. They expected her to win every time. She started to believe that her worth was tied to her playing. If she played well, she was valuable. If she made a mistake, she was worthless. It was the old wound. The wound from being left behind. The wound that whispered, "You have to earn love. You have to be perfect, or you will be abandoned again." She started practicing 6 hours a day, then 7, then 8. Sarah and David worried. They told her to take breaks, to play with friends, to just be a kid. But Lily could not stop. The piano was not just music anymore. It was her proof, her evidence that she deserved to exist, that she was worth keeping. When she was 12, a man from a music conservatory in New York came to hear her play. His name was Mr. Brennan. He was the director of admissions at the Manhattan Youth Conservatory, one of the best music schools in the country. He sat in the audience at a competition in Hartford. Lily played a difficult piece by Rachmaninoff. It was meant for adult hands, adult skill, but she played it with a depth that made people cry. After the performance, Mr. Brennan came backstage. He introduced himself to Lily and her parents. "I want to offer Lily a full scholarship to our conservatory," he said. "She would study with the best teachers in the world. She would be with other young musicians at her level, but it would mean moving to New York." David and Sarah looked at each other. This was huge, life-changing. But Lily was only 12 years old. "What do you think, Lily?" Sarah asked. Lily's face was serious. "I want to go. I want to be the best. I need to be the best." Something in the way she said need made Sarah's heart hurt. But how could they say no? This was Lily's gift, her passion, her path. 3 months later, the Chen family moved to New York. David found a job transfer. Sarah found work at a hospital. They got an apartment in Manhattan. Lily started at the conservatory. The school was intense. Everyone there was talented. Everyone there had been the best in their hometown. Now they were all together, competing. The teachers were demanding, the expectations were sky high. Lily thrived in some ways. She loved being around other serious musicians. She loved the challenge. But the pressure grew heavier. She was practicing 8 to 9 hours a day now. Her back hurt, her shoulders were tight. Sometimes her hands cramped so badly she could not hold a pencil. But she kept going. Because stopping was not an option. Stopping meant she was ordinary. And ordinary meant she could be left behind again. Her teacher at the conservatory, Professor Elliot, was brilliant, but cold. He pushed her hard. When she played well, he said nothing. When she made a tiny mistake, he would stop her. Again, he would say. From the beginning, Lily would start over. again and again and again. One day, she played a piece perfectly, not one mistake. When she finished, she looked at him, hoping for some approval. Professor Elliot nodded once. Acceptable. But you can do better. Great is not good enough. You must be exceptional. Lily went home that night and played until midnight. Sarah came in and found her in tears, still playing. Lily, stop, you need to rest. I can't, Lily said. I have to be exceptional. I have to be worth it. Worth what? Worth keeping. Sarah pulled her away from the piano. She held her tight. Lily Chen, you are worth everything. Not because of how you play, not because of what you can do, just because you are you. Do you hear me? But Lily did not hear. Or maybe she could not let herself hear. Because if she believed she was enough, just as she was, what happened to the story she had been telling herself? The story that said she had been left because she was not good enough? If that story was not true, then her mother had abandoned her for no reason at all. And that was even harder to accept, so she kept playing, kept practicing, kept trying to prove something that could never be proved through music alone. By the time she was 13, Lily Chen was known across the country. She had performed in major concert halls. She had been on television. Music magazines wrote articles about her. But inside, she was coming apart. The smile she wore for cameras was not real. The confidence she showed on stage was armor. Underneath, she was still that little girl in the orphanage, wondering why she was not enough. The storm was building, and soon, it would break. Lily was 15 when the cracks started to show. On the outside, everything looked perfect. She was at the top of her class at the conservatory. She had won more competitions than anyone could count. Famous musicians knew her name. People called her a genius. But inside, she was drowning. She was practicing 10 hours a day now. Sometimes more. She would wake up at 5 in the morning and go straight to the piano. She would practice before school, during lunch, after school. Late into the night, her fingers ached constantly, her wrists hurt, but she pushed through the pain. Sleep became rare. She would lie in bed, and her mind would race. She would think about mistakes she made that day, notes she played wrong, rhythms that were not perfect. She would get up at 2 in the morning and practice again, trying to fix what was broken. Sarah and David watched their daughter disappear. She barely ate. She never laughed anymore. She had no friends outside of the conservatory, and even there, she kept people at a distance. She saw other students as competition, not companions. Lily, you need to rest, David said one evening. Your body needs a break. I am fine, she said, not looking up from her music sheets. You are not fine. You look exhausted. I have an audition coming up. The Young Concert Artists International Auditions. I have to be ready. What happens if you are not perfect at this audition? Sarah asked gently. Lily looked up. Her eyes were fierce, desperate. Then, it was all for nothing. Everything I have done. Everything I have sacrificed. If I am not the best, then who am I? That question hung in the air like smoke. The Young Concert Artists International Auditions were the most important auditions of her life. Winners would get to perform with major orchestras. They would get management, recording contracts. This audition could launch a real career. Lily was 17 now. This was her chance. She prepared for 6 months. Professor Elliot drove her harder than ever. Every lesson was brutal. He tore apart her playing. Nothing was good enough. She had to be flawless. You are competing against the best young musicians in the world, he told her. Second place means nothing. You must win. You must be perfect. Lily believed him. She had to win. She had to prove that all the hours, all the pain, all the sacrifice meant something. The week before the audition, she barely slept. She practiced until her hands shook. She stopped eating regular meals. She just drank coffee and ate whatever was quick. Her body was running on empty, but she did not care. All that mattered was the piano. The night before the audition, she practiced until 3 in the morning. She played the same piece over and over. A difficult work by technically demanding. emotionally intense. It had to be perfect. When she finally went to bed, she could not sleep. She stared at the ceiling, her heart racing. Her hands moved under the blankets, practicing the fingerings in the air. The audition was held in a beautiful hall in Manhattan. 50 young pianists from around the world were there. Only 3 would win. The judges were famous musicians, conductors, and teachers. They had heard everything. They were looking for something exceptional. Lily was number 3. She had to wait most of the day. She sat backstage, her hands folded in her lap. She did not talk to anyone. She just breathed and tried to stay calm. Finally, they called her name. Lily Chen. She walked onto the stage. The piano sat there, black and gleaming under the lights. The judges sat in the darkness of the auditorium. She could barely see their faces. She sat down. She adjusted the bench. She placed her hands on the keys. For a moment, everything was quiet. Her heart was pounding so loud, she thought the judges could hear it. Then she began to play. At first, it was perfect. Her fingers flew across the keys. Every note was precise. Every phrase was shaped beautifully. She was in control. But halfway through, something happened. Her left hand cramped. A sharp pain shot through her wrist. She pushed through it. She could not stop. She would not stop. The pain got worse. Her hand started to shake. Just slightly, but enough that she missed a note. Then another. The rhythm faltered. No, no, no. She tried to recover. She tried to get back on track. But the pain was overwhelming now. And worse than the pain was the panic. She was making mistakes. In front of the judges. In the most important audition of her life. She finished the piece. Barely. The last notes sounded weak. Uncertain. She stood up. She bowed. She walked off stage. The moment she was out of sight, her legs gave out. She sank to the floor. Her whole body was shaking. She could not breathe right. The world was spinning. Someone called for help. A medic came. They asked her questions, but she could not answer. She just kept saying, I failed. I failed. I failed. They called her parents. Sarah and David rushed to the hall. They found Lily in a back room, sitting on the floor, staring at nothing. I ruined it, she whispered. I worked so hard, and I ruined it. It is okay, Sarah said, holding her. It is just one audition. It is not just one audition. Lily screamed. It is everything. If I am not the best pianist, then who am I? What am I worth? David knelt beside her. Lily, you are our daughter. That is who you are. That is what makes you valuable. Not the piano. Not winning, you. Batuli could not hear him. She was too deep in the spiral. Too far gone. 2 days later, the results were announced. Lily Chen had won first place. Despite the mistakes, despite the struggle, the judges had seen something in her playing. They saw the raw emotion, the depth, the artistry. She should have been happy, but when they called to tell her, she felt nothing. Just emptiness. That night, there was a small ceremony for the winners. Lily had to go on stage and accept her award. She had to smile and shake hands and thank people. She did it all like a robot, moving through the motions. When it was her turn to play a short piece for the audience, she sat at the piano. She placed her hands on the keys, and then, something inside her just broke. She could not do it. She could not play. Her hands would not move. The audience waited. The silence stretched on. People started to whisper. Lily stood up. She walked off the stage. She walked out of the building. She kept walking until she found a bench in a dark park. And then she collapsed. Sarah and David found her an hour later. She was just sitting there, staring at her hands. I cannot do this anymore, she said. I cannot play anymore. I cannot be this person anymore. They took her to the hospital. The doctors said she was suffering from extreme exhaustion, burnout, anxiety, depression. Her body had been telling her to stop for months, but she had ignored all the signs. They kept her in the hospital for 2 weeks. She slept, she ate. She talked to doctors. She cried a lot. Years of tears that she had never let herself cry. A therapist came to see her every day. Her name was Dr. Washington. She was a black woman with a calm voice and patient eyes. "Tell me about your mother," Dr. Washington said one day. "Which one?" Lily asked. "The one who gave birth to you." Lily was quiet for a long time. "I do not remember her. She left me when I was 3 days old." "How does that make you feel?" "Like I was not enough. Like something was wrong with me. Like I had to earn the right to be kept." "And the piano? What does it mean to you?" Lily thought about this. Really thought about it. It was proof. Proof that I was special. That I was worth something. That I deserved to exist. And now? Now, I do not know. If I am not a pianist, then who am I? Dr. Washington leaned forward. "That is the question you need to answer, Lily. Not who you are when you play. Who you are when you are just you. No piano, no audience. No judges, just you." That question terrified Lily more than any audition ever had. When she left the hospital, she made a decision. She would not play piano for 6 months. She needed to learn who she was without it. Sarah and David supported her. Professor Elliot did not. He said she was throwing away her career, that she was being foolish. But Lily did not care what he thought. For the first time in her life, she was putting herself first. Not the music. Not the competitions herself. The piano sat in the living room, silent. Lily walked past it every day. Sometimes she wanted to play. Her fingers itched for the keys. But she resisted. She started seeing Dr. Washington twice a week. They talked about everything. About career, about the orphanage, about feeling abandoned, about trying to earn love through perfection. "You cannot earn love, Lily," Dr. Washington said. "Real love is given freely. Not because you deserve it. Not because you are perfect. Just because you are you." Lily wanted to believe that. But it was hard. It meant letting go of the story she had carried her whole life. The story that said she had to be extraordinary to matter. Over those 6 months, something shifted in Lily. She started to see that she had been running from the pain of being left, running from the fear that she was not enough. The piano had been her escape. But it had also been her prison. She was 18 now. She had to decide what to do next. She could go back to the conservatory. Or she could walk away from music forever. Or she could find a new relationship with the piano, one that was healthier, one that was based on love, not fear. She did not know what she would choose. But for the first time, she knew she had a choice. And that made all the difference. The piano sat in the living room, covered with a white cloth. 6 months had passed since Lily touched it. 6 months of therapy. 6 months of learning to be someone other than a pianist. 6 months of silence. It was a Tuesday afternoon when everything changed. Lily was sitting by the window, reading a book. The apartment was quiet. Sarah was at work. David was at work. It was just Lily and her thoughts. Then she heard it. Music from the apartment next door. Someone was playing piano. Not very well. The notes were clumsy. The rhythm was off. But there was something joyful in it. Something free. Lily listened. Her fingers twitched. For 6 months, she had avoided the piano like it was poison. But now, listening to that imperfect music, she felt something different. Not pressure, not fear, just a gentle pull. Like an old friend calling her name. She stood up. She walked to the piano. She pulled off the white cloth. The wood was dusty, but still beautiful. She sat down on the bench. She lifted the lid. Her hands hovered over the keys. She was afraid. What if the old feelings came back? What if she fell into the same trap? But then she remembered what Dr. Washington had said. You can love something without letting it define you. You can return to what hurt you and change the relationship. Lily took a breath. She touched one key. A single note. It sounded pure, clear. Just a note, not a judgment. Not a test. Just sound. She played another note. Then a scale. Then a simple melody. Nothing fancy. Nothing difficult. Just music for the sake of music. Tears rolled down her cheeks. But they were different tears. Not tears of pain or frustration. Tears of recognition. Like seeing someone you loved after a long time apart. She played for 20 minutes. When she stopped, she felt lighter. The piano was no longer her master. It was just an instrument. A tool for expression, not a measure of her worth. That night at dinner, she told her parents her decision. I want to go back to school, but not to the conservatory. I want to go to a regular college. I want to study music, but I also want to study other things. Psychology, maybe therapy. I want to understand why people hurt and how they heal. Sarah smiled. David reached across the table and squeezed her hand. That sounds perfect, he said. 4 months later, Lily enrolled at Juilliard. But this time was different. She was not just studying piano performance. She was taking classes in music therapy, psychology, human development. She wanted to understand how music could help people heal. Her new piano teacher was different from Professor Elliot. Her name was Ms. Rivera. She was in her 60s, with grey hair and warm eyes. The first lesson, she did not ask Lily to play. She just talked with her. Why do you play piano? Ms. Rivera asked. Lily thought about this. A year ago, she would have said, to be the best, to win, to prove myself. But now, I play because music says things that words cannot. I play because it connects me to something bigger than myself. I play because it helps me feel. Ms. Rivera smiled. Good, that is why we make music. Not to be perfect. Not to win prizes. To be human. To connect. To feel. Under Ms. Rivera's guidance, Lily's playing changed. It was still technically brilliant, but now it had something more. It had truth. It had vulnerability. She was not trying to impress anyone. She was trying to communicate. One day, Ms. Rivera told her about a volunteer opportunity. There was a children's home in Brooklyn. They needed someone to teach music to kids in foster care. I think you would be good at this, Ms. Rivera said. You understand what those children feel. You have been where they are. Lily was nervous, but she said yes. The children's home was a brick building with a small playground. Inside, there were about 30 kids, ages 5 to 17, all of them waiting for families, all of them carrying wounds. Lily started teaching piano twice a week. At first, the kids were skeptical. Another volunteer who would leave eventually. Another person who would disappoint them. But Lily kept coming back. Week after week. She was patient. She was kind. She never pushed them. There was one boy named Marcus. He was 10 years old, angry, defensive. He did not want to learn piano. He said it was stupid. But Lily saw through the anger. She saw the hurt underneath. You do not have to play if you do not want to, she told him. But can I show you something? Marcus shrugged. Lily sat at the piano. She played a piece she had written. It was about being lost. About being angry. About feeling like no one understood. The music was dark and stormy. Then it shifted. It became softer, hopeful. Like a sunrise after a long night. When she finished, Marcus was staring at her. Did you make that up? Yes. I wrote it about my own life. About being adopted. About feeling angry at my birth mother for leaving me. Marcus's eyes widened. You were adopted too? Yes, from Korea. When I was 4, something shifted in Marcus's face. Do you still feel angry? Sometimes. But mostly, I feel sad. And sometimes I feel okay. Feelings change. Like music. Loud and soft. Fast and slow. The next week, Marcus asked if he could try the piano. Lily showed him where middle C was. He pressed the key and smiled. That smile was the beginning. Over the next year, Lily saw many children come through those doors. She taught them music, but more than that, she showed them that their pain could become something beautiful. That they could take what hurt them and transform it. She learned as much from them as they learned from her. She saw their resilience, their hope, their ability to love even after being hurt. It changed her. During this time, Lily also started composing. She had never written her own music before. She had always played what others wrote. But now, she had things to say. Stories to tell. Emotions to express. She wrote a piece called Letter to a Mother I Never Knew. It was everything she had never been able to say. All the questions. All the anger. All the longing. And finally, something like forgiveness. The piece was 10 minutes long. It started with a single note, lonely, searching. Then it built into something complex and painful. Discordant notes, clashing. Then it resolved into something peaceful. Not happy exactly, but accepting, at peace with the questions that had no answers. She played it for Ms. Rivera. When it ended, her teacher was crying. "This is the best thing you have ever played," Ms. Rivera said. "Because it is yours, it is true. You must share this with the world." Lily was not sure she was ready, but Ms. Rivera entered the piece in a composition competition. Without telling Lily, 2 months later, Lily got a call. She had one. Not only that, but a famous conductor named Maestro Chen had heard the recording. He wanted her to perform it, with a full orchestra. At Carnegie Hall, Lily's heart stopped. Carnegie Hall, the dream of every classical musician. The most famous concert hall in the world. But this was different from the competitions she used to enter. This was not about proving herself. This was about sharing something real, something vulnerable, something true. She said yes. They set the date, 1 year away, December 2017. That gave her time to prepare. Not just the music, but herself. She needed to be ready to stand on that stage and bare her soul. That year was intense, but it was different from before. She practiced hard, but she also rested. She ate well. She slept. She spent time with friends. She lived a balanced life. She continued teaching at the children's home. She continued her studies. She continued therapy with Dr. Washington. All of it was part of preparing for Carnegie Hall, because this performance was not just about her fingers on the keys. It was about her heart. Her story, her truth. As the date got closer, Lily started thinking more about her birth mother, the woman who left her, the woman who had shaped her life by her absence. She wondered, where was she now? Was she still alive? Did she ever think about the baby she left behind? Did she know what that baby had become? One night, Lily talked to Sarah about it. "I think I want to find her, my birth mother. I want to know who she is. I want to know why." Sarah was quiet for a moment. Then she said, "Are you ready for what you might find, or not find?" Lily nodded. I need to know. Not to punish her, not even to forgive her. Just to understand, to see her as a real person, not just the ghost who has haunted me my whole life. "Then we will help you look," Sarah said. "We will do this together." That decision set something in motion, something that would change everything. The search for her birth mother would lead Lily down a path she never expected. It would answer old questions and raise new ones, and it would lead to that moment on the stage at Carnegie Hall, where past and present would finally meet. But for now, Lily was just a young woman learning to live with an open heart, learning to make music not from fear or obligation, but from love, learning that the greatest performance is not the one that is perfect, but the one that is true. And truth, she was discovering, was the hardest and most beautiful thing to play. The search began on a cold morning in March. Lily sat at her laptop with Sarah beside her. David was making coffee in the kitchen. They had all agreed to do this together. To face whatever they found, together. Lily typed words into the search engine. How to find birth parents in South Korea. Hundreds of results appeared. Stories of reunions. Stories of disappointment. Advice. Warnings. Hope. Heartbreak. She learned that South Korea had organizations that helped adoptees search for their birth families. There were DNA databases, registries, social workers who specialized in these searches. But there were no guarantees. Many birth mothers wanted to stay hidden. Many had moved on with their lives. Some had died. Lily registered with 3 different organizations. She submitted her birth date, the hospital where she was born, the name of the orphanage, any detail she could remember or find in her adoption papers. Then she waited. Weeks went by, then a month, 2 months, nothing. Lily tried not to let hope build too high. She knew the statistics. Most searches ended in silence. But she also sent her DNA to an international database, a service that connected adoptees with biological relatives. She spit in a tube, sealed it, mailed it off, and waited some more. While waiting, she practiced for Carnegie Hall. The performance was 9 months away. She played her composition every day. Each time, she discovered something new in it. Some emotion she had not noticed before. Some memory buried in the notes. She also wrote letters to the mother she had never met. She did not mail them. She just wrote them and kept them in a notebook. "Dear Mother," one letter said, "I used to be so angry at you. I thought you threw me away because I was not good enough. But I am learning now that maybe you left me because you loved me. Maybe you thought I would have a better chance without you. I do not know if that is true, but I am trying to believe it. I am trying to understand." Another letter said, "I want you to know that I am okay. I was adopted by good people. They love me. They gave me opportunities you could not give me. I play piano now. I am going to perform at Carnegie Hall. I wish you could be there. I wish you could see what I became." Writing the letters helped. They were a way to process feelings that had no other outlet. A way to talk to the ghost that had lived in her heart for 19 years. Then, in late June, she got an email. It was from the DNA database. Subject line, "Potential match found." Lily's hands shook as she opened it. Sarah came to stand behind her. They read it together. The email said that someone in the database shared significant DNA with her. Not a parent, but possibly a cousin or aunt. This person had registered their information. They were open to contact. Lily clicked on the profile. The name was listed as Park Ji, age 42, location, Seoul, South Korea. In the message section, it said, "Looking for information about my sister's daughter. Born December 15, 1998. Baby was left at hospital. Please contact me if you have information." Lily could not breathe. This was real. Someone was looking for her. Someone who might know her mother. She replied immediately. "My name is Lily Chen. I was born on December 15, 1998. In Seoul, I was left at the hospital and later adopted. I believe you might be my aunt. Please write back." She sent the message. Then she waited. Every hour felt like a day. Every day felt like a year. 3 days later, she got a response. "Lily, I am Ji. Your mother is my younger sister. Her name is Park Soo. She has looked for you for 19 years. She thought she would never find you. She thinks about you every day. She wants to talk to you. Are you ready?" Lily read the message 10 times. Her mother, Park Soo. She had a name now. And her mother had been looking for her. All these years, she had not forgotten. She had not moved on. Lily wrote back, "Yes, I am ready. Please give me her contact information." 2 days later, Lily had a video call scheduled with Park Soo, her birth mother, the woman who left her, the woman who had shaped everything about who she became. The night before the call, Lily could not sleep. She was terrified. What would she say? What would she feel? What if her mother was not what she hoped? What if this made everything worse? Sarah sat with her. "You do not have to do this if you are not ready." "I am ready," Lily said. "I have been waiting my whole life for this." The call was scheduled for 8 in the morning New York time, 9 at night in Seoul. Lily sat at her computer with Sarah and David on either side of her. Her finger hovered over the button to join the call. She clicked it. The screen loaded. Then a face appeared. A woman with dark hair and tired eyes. She was thin, older than her years, but her face was familiar. It was like looking at a version of herself in 30 years. For a long moment, neither of them spoke. They just stared at each other. Two women connected by blood and separated by choice, by circumstances, by pain. Then Soo-jin spoke. In Korean, a translator on the line repeated her words in English. "Is it really you?" "My baby." Lily nodded. She could not speak. Tears were already falling. Soo-jin started crying too. "I am so sorry. I am so sorry. I have said sorry to you every day for 19 years. I have carried you in my heart every moment." "Why?" Lily finally asked. "Why did you leave me?" Sujin took a shaking breath. Then she told her story. She had been 19 years old, unmarried, pregnant. In South Korea, this was a deep shame. Her family disowned her. Her boyfriend left her. She had no money, no home, no support. She lived on the streets for the last 2 months of pregnancy. She gave birth in a public hospital. The nurses were kind but busy. She held her baby for 3 hours. She memorized every detail of her face. Her tiny fingers, her soft hair, the way she made small sounds in her sleep. But Sujin knew she could not keep her. She had no way to feed her. No place to live. In her mind, leaving the baby at the hospital was giving her a chance for a family. For food, for safety, for a life. I wrote that note with my heart breaking, Sujin said through tears. I wanted to write more. I wanted to tell you I loved you. But I could not see through my tears, so I just wrote that one line, please give her a better life than I can. Then I walked out of the hospital. I did not look back, because if I looked back, I would not have been able to leave, and I thought leaving was the loving thing to do. She told Lily about the years after. How she got a job in a factory, how she saved every bit of money, how she searched for her daughter through every legal channel, how she registered with adoption agencies, how she gave her DNA, how she prayed every night that her daughter was safe, happy, loved. I wanted to keep you, Sujin said. Never think, I did not want you. I wanted you more than anything. But I wanted you to live more than I wanted to keep you. Lily listened to all of this. Part of her was angry. Why did not she try harder? Why did not she find another way? But another part of her understood. She had learned enough about poverty, about shame, about impossible choices. She understood that sometimes love looks like letting go. I had a good life, Lily said finally. My parents, Sarah and David, they loved me. They gave me music. They gave me a home. I have struggled. I have been angry, but I have also been blessed. Sujin smiled through her tears. Then I did the right thing. You are alive. You are safe. You are loved. That is all I wanted. They talked for 2 hours. Through a translator, they shared stories. Lily told Sujin about the piano, about her breakdown, about learning to heal. Sujin told Lily about her life. She had eventually married. She had 2 other children, daughters they did not know about. Lily Sujin had kept her first daughter a secret because of the shame. But I am ready to tell them now, Sujin said. I want them to know they have a sister. I want to stop hiding. Before the call ended, Lily took a breath and said, I am performing at Carnegie Hall in December. I have written a piece of music. It is about you, about us, about this story. I would like you to come. If you want to. Sujin's eyes went wide. You want me there? Yes, I want both my mothers there. Sarah and you. Both of you gave me life in different ways. Both of you deserve to see what I became. Sujin covered her mouth with her hand. She nodded, unable to speak. When the call ended, Lily sat back in her chair. She felt exhausted, emotionally drained, but also lighter. The question that had haunted her for 19 years finally had an answer. She had not been left because she was not enough. She had been left because her mother loved her too much to watch her suffer. It was not a perfect answer. It did not erase the pain, but it was true. And truth, even painful truth, was better than the stories she had told herself. Over the next months, Lily and Sujin talked regularly. They sent messages, photos, videos. They learned about each other slowly, building a relationship from nothing. It was awkward sometimes. The translator made everything slower. The cultural differences were big, but they tried. Both of them tried. Sujin bought a plane ticket to New York. She would arrive 2 days before the Carnegie Hall performance. Lily was nervous about meeting her in person, but she was also ready. Ready to close the circle, ready to bring together all the broken pieces of her story and see what shape they made when they fit together. The past was catching up to the present, and the piano, the instrument that had saved her and almost destroyed her, was going to be the bridge that connected everything, mother to daughter, pain to healing. Question to answer. Carnegie Hall was waiting. December came fast. The trees in New York were bare. The air was cold and sharp. Carnegie Hall stood on 7th Avenue, its red and white facade glowing in the winter evening. Inside, 2,800 seats waited to be filled. And in one of those seats, a woman from South Korea would sit and watch the daughter she gave away 19 years ago. Lily had not slept well in 3 days. Not because of nerves about the performance. She had performed hundreds of times. She was ready. But Sujin was coming. Today, in a few hours, Lily would meet her birth mother face to face for the first time since she was 3 days old. The plan was to meet at the hotel where Sujin was staying. Lily, Sarah and David would go together. They would have lunch. They would talk. Then they would all go to Carnegie Hall together. Lily changed clothes 5 times that morning. Nothing felt right. Finally, Sarah came into her room. "It does not matter what you wear," Sarah said gently. "She is not coming to judge you. She is coming to see you. The real you." Lily chose a simple sweater and jeans. She looked at herself in the mirror. She saw her mother's eyes looking back at her. Sujin's eyes. She had seen them on the video calls, but soon she would see them in person. The hotel was in Midtown. They took a taxi. Lily sat between her parents, holding both their hands. Sarah squeezed her left hand. David squeezed her right. They did not say much. What was there to say? They walked into the hotel lobby. It was elegant. High ceilings. Marble floors. People in business suits walking past with briefcases and phones. And there, sitting on a sofa near the window, was a woman in a dark blue coat. Her hair was pulled back. Her hands were folded in her lap. She was looking at the door like she had been waiting forever. Their eyes met. Sujin stood up slowly. She was shaking. Lily could see it from across the lobby. Lily walked toward her. Each step felt impossible, like walking through water, through time, through all the years that had separated them. They stopped 3 feet apart, just looking at each other. In person, the resemblance was even stronger. Same cheekbones, same mouth, same hands. "Hello," Lily said in Korean. She had been practicing. Sujin's eyes filled with tears. "Hello, my daughter." Then they moved toward each other. The embrace was hesitant at first, uncertain, but then Sujin pulled Lily close and held her like she had wanted to hold her for 19 years, like she was trying to make up for every hug she missed, every birthday, every scraped knee, every nightmare, every moment of joy. Lily let herself be held. She felt something crack open in her chest, something that had been locked tight. She cried into her birth mother's shoulder, and Sujin cried too, both of them releasing years of pain and longing and love that had nowhere to go until now. Sarah and David watched from a few feet away. Sarah was crying too. David had his arm around her. They were not jealous. They were not afraid. They understood that love multiplies. It does not divide. Lily was their daughter. But she was also Sujin's daughter. Both things could be true. Finally, Lily and Sujin pulled apart. Sujin held Lily's face in her hands. She studied every feature like she was memorizing a map. "You are so beautiful," Sujin said. "So strong. I can see in your eyes that you have suffered. But I can also see that you have survived. I am so proud of you." They sat down together. Sarah and David joined them. An interpreter sat with them to help with translation. They talked for 2 hours. They ate lunch in the hotel restaurant. Sujin was nervous. She barely touched her food. She just kept looking at Lily like she might disappear. Sujin told them more about her life, about her husband, her 2 daughters. She showed photos on her phone. 2 girls with bright smiles. Lily's half-suit. They looked happy. "They know about you now," Sujin said. "I told them everything. They want to meet you someday. They think it is wonderful that they have a big sister who plays piano." Lily looked at the photos. She had sisters, family, blood relatives. It felt strange and wonderful at the same time. Sujin asked Lily questions about her childhood, her parents, her music. Lily answered honestly. She did not hide the hard parts. The loneliness. The anger. The breakdown. Sujin listened to all of it, with tears running down her face. I am so sorry you suffered, Sujin said. If I could go back and change it, I would. But I cannot. All I can do is tell you that I never stopped loving you. Not for one single day. I know that now, Lily said. I did not always know it, but I know it now. Sarah reached across the table and took Sujin's hand. Thank you, Sarah said through the interpreter. Thank you for giving her life. Thank you for making the hardest choice a mother can make. Because of you, we got to be her parents. We got to love her. We got to watch her become this amazing person. Sujin squeezed Sarah's hand. Thank you for loving her when I could not. Thank you for giving her the life I wanted her to have. The two mothers looked at each other. They were not rivals. They were partners. Two women who loved the same girl in different ways, and that was enough. Finally, it was time to go to Carnegie Hall. The performance was at 7. They needed to get there early. Lily needed to prepare, to warm up, to breathe. Backstage at Carnegie Hall, Lily stood in front of a mirror. She was wearing a long black dress, simple, elegant. Her hair was pulled back. She looked calm, but inside, her heart was racing. Ms. Rivera came to check on her. How are you feeling? Terrified, ready, grateful, all at once. Good, that is how you should feel. This is not just a performance. This is your truth. Your story. Play it like your life depends on it. Because in a way, it does. Lily nodded. She understood. The concert hall was filling up. Critics were there, musicians, students, strangers who had heard about the young pianist and her original composition. The seats filled, row by row. In the fourth row, 3 people sat together. Sarah, David, and Sujin. They sat with Sujin in the middle. Sarah and Sujin talked through the interpreter. They were nervous for Lily, proud, hopeful. Backstage, Lily heard the announcement. 5 minutes to curtain. She closed her eyes. She thought about everything that had led to this moment. Being left in a hospital. Growing up in an orphanage. Being adopted. Finding the piano. Almost losing herself. Learning to heal. Finding her birth mother. All of it was part of the story. All of it mattered. She walked to the stage entrance. She could hear the audience settling. The lights dimmed. The conductor walked out. Applause. He raised his hands. The orchestra was ready. Then her name was announced. Please welcome Lily Chen, performing her original composition. Letter to a Mother I Never Knew. Lily walked onto the stage. The spotlight hit her. The Steinway grand piano sat waiting. She walked to it. She bowed to the audience. Then she sat down. She looked out into the darkness. She could not see faces. But she knew her mothers were there. Both of them, watching, hoping, loving. She placed her hands on the keys. She took one breath. Then she began to play. The piece started with a single note, alone, searching. It was a baby crying in an empty room. It was a question with no answer. Then more notes joined. Hesitant, uncertain. This was childhood. This was loneliness. This was trying to find your place in the world. The music built. It became faster, more complex, more angry. This was adolescence. This was perfectionism. This was running from pain. The notes crashed together, dissonant, painful, beautiful. In the audience, Sujin covered her mouth with her hand. She was crying. She understood. She heard her daughter's pain in the music. And it broke her heart. Then the music changed. It softened. It slowed. This was the breakdown. This was the surrender. This was learning that you cannot run forever. The melody was simple, vulnerable, raw. Sarah grabbed David's hand. They had lived through that time with Lily. They had watched her fall apart, and they had helped her put herself back together. The music built again, but this time it was different. It was not angry, it was determined, strong. This was healing. This was choosing to live. This was finding purpose. The notes were clear, purposeful, hopeful. Then came the final section. The orchestra joined in. The piano and the strings and the winds all wove together. This was reunion. This was understanding. This was forgiveness. Not the kind of forgiveness that says everything is okay, but the kind that says, I see you. I understand. We can move forward. The music reached its climax, every instrument playing together. A wall of sound that filled the hall. It was overwhelming. It was cathartic. It was life in all its complexity. Pain and joy. Loss and love. Darkness and light. All of it together. All of it true. Then it resolved. The orchestra faded. The piano played alone again, but this time, the single notes were not lonely. They were peaceful, content, at rest. The final note hung in the air. Then silence. For 3 seconds, no one moved. No one breathed. Then the applause started. It was thunderous. People stood. The applause went on and on. 7 minutes. People were crying, shouting, clapping, until their hands hurt. Lily stood up from the piano. She looked out at the audience. She could see now. She could see Sarah and David on their feet, clapping, tears streaming down their faces, and next to them, Sujin, also standing, also crying, her hand over her heart, mouthing words that Lily could not hear but could understand. I love you. I love you. I love you. Lily bowed. The applause continued. The conductor gestured for her to bow again. She did. Then something happened that was not planned.